Okay, we will call the May 22nd, 2025 regular board meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. Can I get roll call, please?
Falls Graph here.
Mazer.
Brianna Taxoni here. Dr. De Jesus and Mr. Mascon are both absent. Agenda for the regular meeting, I'll go ahead and move that in. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
And there are no changes for the agenda for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
Falls Graph, aye.
Mazer.
Brianna Taxoni, aye with two absent. 2A, public participation.
Sorry, not for right now. Thank you.
3A, closed session discussion items. We may discuss conference with labor negotiators, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, release, conference with legal counsel, and/or student matters. 3B, adjourn to closed session. I'll move.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
Falls Graph, aye.
Mazer.
Brianna Taxoni, aye with two absent. We are adjourned to closed session at 6:33 p.m. Okay, the regular board meeting of May 22nd, 2025 will reconvene at 7:34 p.m. For a flag salute. Miss Emily, would you mind leading us in the flag salute as the past student board member? One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Four B, civility statement. The civility statement states, communicate clearly and concisely with respect for others' time. Listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others. Understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors. Understand and respect district policies and procedures. Respect the district's rich history and the efforts of others who have served in the past.
Vice President, can I make a motion?
Yes.
I would like to hear the student representative report first now. Then I would like to have the superintendent's report arranged to bring these fine young people here, whatever you have to do with them. Then, once that is done, I would like to report out on closed session, at which point we'll return to the superintendent's agenda. Can I have a second?
I'll second. Any discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
DeJillian, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna, I'm sorry. Brianna Taxoni, aye. That was Ken. Okay, so we will move on to 7C, student representative to the board.
Okie dokie. Starting with High Desert this evening. Some Hawk highlights we have. We are so grateful for Nurse May on our campus. We celebrated her during Nurses Week last week. Some past events for the Hawks. The fifth grade students are finishing up at Starbase. The program is a week long where fifth grade students go to Edwards Air Force Base to participate in hands-on science activities. They get to see jets fly, touch and try on spacesuits, and learn about space exploration. This trip is always a favorite. Our incredible counseling team has been celebrating Mental Health Awareness Week with activities and spirit days all week. Thank you to our team for raising awareness about mental health for our students. HDS welcomed community members from a wide variety of careers to share their professions with our students during Career Day on May 16th. We are so grateful for the professionals in our community to be sharing with our students. Some upcoming events for the Hawks. Schools to Watch celebration is coming up on May 29th at 8:30 a.m. Student Showcase and Open House is also on May 29th, but at 6 p.m. Hawks Promotion Day is on June 5th at 6 p.m. Some athletic updates. High Desert Athletics is wrapping up all of our spring seasons. Track and field has their final meet next week. Our students are setting new personal records with each race. Some campus updates for the Hawks. The mural project is complete and we look forward to everyone being able to see it during open house on May 26th. Moving on to Meadowlark Elementary School. Some highlights from last week. Spring concert was an amazing success. Our students gave an outstanding performance during the spring concert on May 14th. Families packed VHS to celebrate our budding musicians, and the evening was a resounding success thanks to the leadership of Miss Benatar, our music teacher. Open house and the ribbon cutting ceremony was on May 15th. We welcomed families for our open house events at both Meadowlark and the new LOLC campus. The turnout was excellent, and families expressed gratitude for the opportunity to see student work and tour our learning spaces. This week, we begin our Mental Health Awareness Spirit Week, promoting student well-being with themed days and mindfulness activities throughout the campus. Some upcoming events for Meadowlark. Awards Assembly is on May 30th. The school-wide carnival is on June 3rd, where our school will host a fun-filled carnival for all students. This event will feature games, music, and treats as a final celebration of the school year. Building with Dad is on June 4th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. We are excited to host a hands-on family engagement night where students and their father figures will work together to build projects, reinforcing STEM skills and family connection. Fourth grade promotion is on June 6th, when we will honor our promoted fourth grade students in a special ceremony to celebrate their achievements and wish them well on their journey to middle school. And that is all for my report this evening.
Always fantastic. Thank you. Now we will move to sorry, I'm on the wrong page. 7D Superintendent Report.
Thank you, Vice President. Tonight, I'll focus on two goals of our strategic plan. Goal 2, effective instruction, and Goal 3, community engagement. I'll start with Goal 2. This past weekend, I received a message from the instructional branch manager for the Marine JROTC program. Our application has been endorsed and approved, which is great news. However, I was also informed at this point in time, they do not have the funding in their budget to move forward for the upcoming school year, unfortunately. They will reassess their budget scenario in January of 2026 and inform us of the possibility of kickstarting the program at Vasquez for the 26-27 school year. Of course, I'll keep everybody in the loop. I know everybody was excited for the program, but as we do at AADUSC, we persevere and we make sure that it happens. So I want to share that with our community. Goal 3. We received a very gracious letter from Ms. Ramona Hall, President of the Friends of Acton Agua Dulce Library, thanking us for supporting their efforts to set up and organize our bi-yearly used book sale. With the help of Ms. Yolanda McCulley, my executive assistant, the following students were praised for being courteous, hardworking by helping out with categorizing hundreds of books. No surprise there that our students are always courteous and hardworking. Thank you to the following students by the library: Diago Camacho, Desi Ruelas, Josh Sandoval, Lucas Williams, and Fernando Vasquez. Good job there. And thank you, Coach Rachel Harder, for the support as well. All right. Tonight we have two presentations. First, we will start with kicking off highlights of Vasquez High School. We started with Meadowlark, and then we moved into High Desert. Tonight, we'll go ahead and call up Dr. Raina Smith to provide Vasquez High School highlights for the 24-25 school year. Dr. Smith.
Use this one. All right. Guess the other board members heard me talk enough yesterday. So at the end of my presentation, I'm going to try to get through it briefly just so that we can get to our highlight, our special students. Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Sahakian and board members. Tonight, I want to give a brief overview just of our amazing Vasquez High School. So first, our office team. I'm Dr. Raina Smith, principal, and you see in purple our lovely secretary, Ms. Shiloh. We call her Ms. Shiloh. And Linnea, our records clerk. We have two TOSAs, Sheldon Sparks and Alexa Lepp, two very hardworking counselors, Nicole Salcedo and Tiffany Quesada, and then our school social worker, Ms. Charlie. Now, I'm not going to read all those names, but we have about 20 certificated staff, and you can see that our teachers and their departments. And then we have about 23 classified staff members that we can definitely not do without. I want to share a little bit about our enrollment. And right now we have 394 students, but that number fluctuates a little bit. I think at one point we had 400. Our bigger groups are 9th grade and 10th grade. And then our, as far as ethnicity, our biggest groups are Hispanic with 57%, white students with 33%. And one thing I found interesting when I came to Vasquez was that we're very boy heavy. We have 59% of our school are boys and 41% of our girls. So I just thought that was interesting. A lot of energy on that campus, just let me tell you. So special programs, we have online students, we have 25, and that's 100% online. They don't come to campus. And we have 36, any glasses, 36 students that are on, they come to school part of the time and then they have classes online. And we have 11 foster kiddos and 77 in special education, 31 in English learners, although I think that number is a little lower. Some have exited, but we're still monitoring. Next slide. So speaking of monitoring, we're always continuously monitoring our attendance and always looking for ways to improve. So you see our month-to-month attendance. And we absolutely recognize that a big part of our school is that we're trying to have that school climate be very positive, encouraging students to be here. For example, if you're late, okay, but glad you made it. And also looking at our first instruction, because if our instruction is fun and engaging, students are less likely to miss because they're going to feel like they're missing something. Speaking of engaging, and we're trying to embed field trips, projects, events, because again, when those things are happening, surprise, surprise, we have a more attended. Kids don't want to miss that. Parental engagement has been huge. We've done some home visits, got to see a lot of nice home pets, and we are making lots of connections with, I think parents are surprised to see that we can very quickly get to them in their home language. So that's been very fun to see the excitement when they're like, oh, speak Spanish. You can, they can immediately tell us what their concerns are and what we can help them with. So we're going to continue to do our SART meetings, SSTs, our tier 2 interventions, counseling, our mentoring. Our advisories are really meant to we call it like adopting our students, because that's where we want to make some more connections, but we want to be more intentional with that. That's a big goal for next year too. And explaining to students, I was surprised how much they didn't realize how attendance does impact them. And then very good news, this is our first week where we actually were able to start our DocuSign. So I think that just having us and parents have more accessibility to signing those independent studies, and I think we'll be able to recoup a lot of that ADA that whereas before they were just absent. So some data, like numbers, they don't lie. So our ELA English, at the very top, you see state. That's where they're at with their ELA scores. They're 55%, our meeting standard. And then right below, that's where we are at 46. So definitely some room to grow. We're in the orange. I was actually very pleased to see, however, that in the middle, what you see is our benchmark scores, and those are from Renaissance. We don't use iReady at the high school, so we're just still exploring what's what's effective. But the data we do have, if it's kind of hard to see at the top, but if you see ninth grade, you could see ninth graders, and then how those ninth graders did last when they were in eighth grade, and then how they did the year before, those same ninth graders in seventh grade. So we're looking at 3 years, and over 3 years, I'm seeing that green bar get bigger. And that's according to our benchmarks, not the state's scores. Of course, we want that growth to transfer into our state scores. So, but I am seeing that red line, it's getting smaller. So, got some good news, some trending in the right direction. Next. Our math is where I would say has been our big conversation, most of our staff meetings. The state is at 27% and we're at 20%. I would say this is a challenge across the state, but math is still, we talk about this a lot. We're in the red, but again, I'm seeing that green bar over these last 3 years, according to our benchmarks, is getting bigger. So, and seeing how they took the state scores assessments this year, I think a big part of that is explaining to students what this means to them, because these scores don't go into the grade book. So it's like, why do I need to try? And keep in mind, state assessments are much longer. Our benchmarks are shorter. So I think kids are getting fatigued. It's a lot of questions about how do we motivate them. Discipline, just very briefly on that top right, suspension in the last 4 years. I mean, they weren't huge, but a couple of years ago in 2019, we're at 7.9. Now it went down. And then last year we were at 8.1% of our students were suspended. We're in the orange, definitely room for growth here too. If you look at the bottom, and you can't see the numbers, but we have 25 suspensions this year. This is month to month. So the first bar is August. And then you can see we have less suspensions as the year has gone on. I would say there's lots of reasons for this. But if you go to the next slide, here's some of the things we have done. I think there's still more work to do. But I really enjoy the visual on the side, the triangles, because that's probably, there isn't a staff meeting that we aren't talking at least at some portion of it about discipline and PBIS. So we're trying to spend most of our time, most of our work on being proactive, because if we're being proactive, then we're spending less time on the correction and the time away, students not being in class or being suspended, spending more time in the office, talking to somebody. We want them in the classroom. Old school way, I say, is being more reactive, where we're not spending that much time being proactive, and therefore, because you're not being proactive, anticipating, being preventative, then you're spending more of your work in correcting and constantly correcting. So these are the things that we have been doing, and we're still going to continue to focus on. Big one is 4-to-1 ratio, where they're seeing and hearing more positive dialogue, 4 positives for every 1 correction. And then PBIS, our rewards, we have them. You guys know they're there. However, you guys have heard us talk about wanting to beef those up so that you guys have more exciting things to purchase with your PBIS points, right? Next one. So that's how we're trying to improve that school culture and behavior, social emotional. How do we, what are we doing to improve instruction? So some of the highest achieving schools, just statistically, they're looking at data. They're getting all the data they can get a hold of, and they're constantly going through it. So yes, we're looking at data, but I think we have to be more intentional on what we're looking through. Of course, we're using our Renaissance benchmark data. We have interventions. We're trying to focus more on during the school day than not just necessarily after school for those interventions. You'll hear more about peer mentoring. Our PLCs, I wrote the word effective PLCs because do we have PLCs? Yes. Are we collaborating? Yes. But I want us to be more effective in having more frequent assessment cycles. And that just takes time to really understand that whole process. And we also recognize that students are going to do better if they're connected to you can go to the next one, their community, and they're involved and connected to school. So here are some things that our students are absolutely involved in. A lot of clubs, a lot of partnerships. Our culinary club, they're visiting schools, fall festival. You can go to the next one. And we also know that when students are connected to, say, sports, they're going to be doing better academically. I know their coaches are doing such a great job with making sure academics are a priority, and they're monitoring that. So we're walking around trying to, hey, try out for this team, try out for that team. Which sport are you going to play? I'm not sure. Oh, you can try this one. So we have our fall sports, our spring sports, winter, I think was the last slide. And our teams are actually doing pretty well. You hear all about them and their successes, breaking records. This is our counseling team has also been trying to create a lot of pathways. These are pathways where students have something concrete once they leave high school that can turn into careers. So we're really trying to, our goal is to get more students to go through these pathways. And if you were at our Night of the Stars, you saw a lot of them had earned that, and that was really exciting. Where you see down here, our graduation, I think our graduation rate is excellent, by the way. We go to the next one. Oh, you know what? I missed, I think there was a slide a little bit ago about electives, because I know that's one of the most exciting parts with students. It's probably forward. Some of they often say the class they look most forward to is their electives. And, oh, it's okay. I can read them off. I think one of our most popular ones definitely would be the culinary and construction, but I would say those are the classes that kids are definitely most excited about. I think here there's some highlights about some of the universities our students are going to. 35% are going to community college, which is a great option, especially if your first 2 years are free. And now I would like to invite our students, because speaking of student leadership, we have lots of options for that on campus. We have ASB, National Honor Society, Science National Honor Society. And here we have this year the Student Superintendent Advisory. And I have, let's see, Logan William, Emily Hunanen, Cassidy, and am I missing someone? Oh, Ryan Ames, come on down. And they're going to share a little bit about this and close out our presentation. They're just on purple. 1, 2, 3. What is it? What is before that? Where their picture is.
Oh, this is awesome. Hello, my name is Cassidy, and today I will be starting the introduction for the Superintendent Student Advisory Council. The purpose of the Superintendent Advisory Council is to provide feedback and input to the superintendent regarding district and campus initiatives, events, and procedures. Some of the people who participate in the ideas for this are Emily Hunanian, Ryan Ames, Lexi Van Blarkham, Logan Williams, Raymond Uma, me, Cassidy, Gabe King, Alex Van Ornum, Chris Gutierrez, and our 2 adult mentors, Dr. Eric Sahakian and Dr. Raina Smith.
Hello, my name is Logan Williams, and I will be continuing this. So for the foundation of the Superintendent Advisory, we have a AADUSD 2030 strategic plan. So we're focused on goals for like student achievement, community engagement, and like just the safety of students. So some of the strengths we identified in our meetings were the staff commitment to students and the ability for students to access the teachers and like talking to like them about stuff. Teachers know students as individuals and not numbers. Teachers are friendly and accessible. The teachers motivate the students. That the athletic program is strong, and that the study hall for athletes is a plus. And some of the challenges we identified are incentives to increase student involvement and engagement in activities. Communication with staff and teachers need to be timely during unprecedented emergencies. For example, the power outages we had in winter. And students matriculating to Vasquez High School needing support to successfully make it to their journey to Vasquez.
Hi, my name is Ryan Ames. So in order to kind of play off our strengths and work on some of these weaknesses that we identified over the course of the meetings we've been having, we talked about establishing a peer mentoring group. Essentially, the idea is that students, probably seniors and juniors, they would help both younger students and students transitioning from High Desert or another middle school to Vasquez to kind of navigate that that journey. There's a lot to high school. There's a lot going on, and sometimes people feel lost and they may not feel as engaged because they don't know as much what's going on. So in this peer mentoring group, the idea is that, so like I said, some older students who are vetted and have decided to join this group and have a passion for helping others, they form a relationship with these younger students that need help, whether in social environments, in academic environments, in any of those kind of environments where they need help, and they can guide them through that process. So for example, we identified, we can play off some of the things that are already identified as strengths, such as the National Honor Society in academic topics. So the National Honor Society would be able to potentially offering tutoring support and other academic support to the students and gain community service hours in exchange. in order to help kids better understand their coursework and things like preparing for college decisions and college, general life goals, where to go after high school, and in that journey. And then, so the main goals of this group would be to support, obviously, the navigation of Vasquez, getting around class, just first things to do after 8th grade, coming into high school, and then to increase student engagement so they care more about the school, they have more school pride, and then finally to offer academic support and help with attendance.
Hi, I'm Emily Hunanian. I'll be finishing up the presentation. So another one of the proposals that we came up with from the council meeting was offering additional opportunities to expose the middle schoolers to Vasquez High School. So like Logan mentioned, one of our challenges that we identified was getting students involved and engaged in the school. So we figured this is almost like a preventative measure. Why don't we take the group of students that are going to make up the future population of Vasquez and instill that excitement in them now? So, for example, we have Arts Day, where high schoolers go to High Desert and do different art activities with them. We also have the road show, where the middle schoolers, specifically the 8th graders, come over here and we show them what they're going to experience next year. And we brought up a new idea, like a VHS Arts Day, where it's the same idea as the Arts Day we have now, but instead we bring the middle schoolers here. So now you're getting the same experience of the Arts Day, but you're getting to experience it in the environment that it comes in. So like culinary, for example, you're going to cook in the culinary classroom. You're going to see Miss Wagner, our culinary teacher. You're going to see where we put our aprons and where our equipment goes. And you're going to see culinary as it is at Vasquez. So hopefully the 8th graders or even any middle schooler gets excited. And now when they come to culinary, they're even more excited and want to engage. And that can be applied to many different subjects we have at school. And then another thing that we came up with was a welcome packet. So a different challenge that we identified was offering middle schoolers or just anyone coming to Vasquez with the smoothest navigation and just adjusting process. I think coming into Vasquez, whether you are from High Desert or an outside district, 8th grader or 12th grader, it's an adjustment. There's a lot of new things to learn and it's a new school, and that can be challenging and overwhelming. So to mitigate that, we came up with a welcome packet. It's a really simple concept, but it's really effective. It would include an FAQ sheet, staff directory, who are your teachers, what are their emails, even maybe a question directory. If you're interested in this, see this person. If you're worried about XYZ, this is where you go. These are helpful websites, the list goes on. I even see this, like, I can attest to this. I'm going to go to college in the fall. So now's the time where it's register for orientation, housing, do this, do that. And sometimes it can be overwhelming and confusing, but those FAQ sheets are really helpful. So our goal is to essentially translate that into not just middle schoolers, but anyone that's coming to Vasquez.
Don't go too far. We have fantastic students, as we all know, but I am exceptionally proud of the students that you see behind me. We met twice a month for months on end, and they were very, very open and transparent with the strengths of the campus, the challenges of the campus, and what to do in order to actually move their ideas forward with a tangible item. And so we came up with peer mentoring. Kudos to you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for your participation. I don't think it was just the pizza at lunch that we provided. I think it was, that you really are invested in Vasquez, and many of you have been here for so many years. If we could give them a huge round of applause, but let's hold the applause first. I saw the hands going up. Ryan is going to UC Berkeley in the fall. Miss Emily is going to UCLA, and I hope that I have Cassidy and Logan back in the fall. They're smiling. I take that as a yes, mom and dad, for the fall for the superintendent student advisory. And now we could give them a big round of applause. I commend you. Yes, Lucas, UCSD, congratulations. She had to put you on the spot. That's a parent for you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you, students. Once again, incredibly proud of you and your contribution to AADUSD. All right, our second presentation.
Wait, can
Oh, I'm
we,
sorry.
can we pause right there? No,
Uh,
you don't apologize. I'm cutting you off, so I'm sorry. Can we go ahead and loop for board member comments?
Who's got the slideshow? Student rep to read a quarter of these aloud. I will, and then we'll run down the row. I'm an old man, so I'm losing it, so forgive me, but kick it off, please.
We have Sean Gaforian, our Virtual Academy department, Adam Rogers in our math department, Chip Krolick in our math department, Anthony Salcedo in our math/science department, Karine Passio in our SPED department, Joshua Park in our English department, John Santa in our history department, Jackson McKelvey in our CTE department. Oh, okay.
Kathy Plan. Mangle, Joe Tibbet, Dr. Shadi Mug Hodis. Excuse me. Mahogany, thank you. Christina Wagner, Kayla Walker, Carrie Owens.
Joseph Bias, Marcelo Bias, Baker, Tony Bates, Mario Bates, Taylor Blackburn, Araceli Burrows. Oh,
Chandra.
Chandra, Eric, what?
Erica.
Sorry.
Erica.
Angela Flores, Martha Flores.
Elise.
Oh, I was gonna go to Miss Brenda.
All right, I'll go ahead and finish them off. I'm so sorry if I butcher any names. I'll do my best. Adelise Guerin, Rachel Harder, Amy Holbert, Guido Jaramillo. Is it Alan Mora?
Yes.
Eddie Romano, Juan Hernandez, Mervat Tafik, Carol White, Jennifer Zepeda.
Tammy Brooks.
That's Tammy Brooks. It just says Brooks there, so maybe Tammy's covered, but Miss Tammy Brooks, April Carson, and Vicky Perez. So huge thank you to all of our staff. Thank you for having us read those out loud because those people are very important, Ken. So then he asked to go to slide 4, please.
Yes, correct. So it includes, yeah. Well, it could be, there could be a student that has only speech services. There could be a student that only has resource services, which is being in a gen ed classroom. And then there are students that have SDC courses that are a smaller group. Out of the 394, 77 have an IEP. Mhm.
interrupt my thought process, please? So at the end of the day, do I need to yell louder? Did anyone miss what I said? Because I can repeat it word for word, enunciation exact. Okay, so
I'm sorry, Ken, people online couldn't hear you. People in the room can, I can hear you, but
tell them to come in here and watch me. So at the end of the day, did you hear that? At the end of the day, where was I? If you're around a staff member that has a reputation as being caring, an example, and gives an example of behavior, I think that the TOSA system in our school has given people an opportunity to move from a teaching position to a practical administrative role. And I think we're talking about Mr. Sparks, who will come up to you and tell you, don't do this, don't do that. Come on, dude, or whatever he's doing. So you think Mr. Sparks is good in his role, guys? Good, thank you. Moving on, I want to go to slide, whatever the end slide was that Emily, who was talking about.
Two more, right there.
I'm just not talking, get it? Emily, I'm very proud of you. You are wonderful in your role here. Very wonderful. But if some old man is nagging at you, you should be doing this, what are you going to do with your life? What does that do for you guys? It does nothing. But when you guys are doing something to protect our brand by building your community, that is what's going to fill our classrooms. So I thank each and every one of you for being the example that you are. I think that's all I have. Thank you. She's tired from carrying all her ribbons around.
okay, so thank you to Dr. Reina and your staff for putting this together. I can't imagine, and all of the schools have had to do this, but I can't imagine thinking about what are we, who are we, what's going on, absolutely every aspect of a school and narrowing it down to 20 slides. That has to be so overwhelming at first, and you nailed it. It's principals that have done this report in the past have nailed it. You guys are fantastic. So I do want to say, first of all, thank you for doing this for us and for our community and our students and highlighting all these great things and areas that we need to work on and just really explaining down to the nitty gritty what our schools are all about. I think that's fantastic. I don't know what slide is on. Can you go to the attendance slide, the one that has the months of attendance across the top? Fantastic. So when I look at this, we have some months that are 96, month 6. Great. What were we doing in month 6? What field trips were going on? Was nobody getting sick? Were we not taking vacations? What were we doing in month 6 that made kids want to come to school to get our ADA summary up to 96.7? And then on that same note, what the heck happened in month 7 that kids were like, man, I don't really care about coming to school today, or we're extra sick today, or like, I would love to dive deep into those. And I'm not asking you to do that. I'm not, let's not do that right.
I do too.
Let's not do that right now. But if we look at this and we look at, let's just at least go look at our calendars. What were we doing? Why did kids want to come to school? Why didn't kids want to come to school? How can we stop that and duplicate month 6 and really get into trying to figure out how we can make every month look like month 6 and then move up from there? That would be fantastic. Really diving into what we were doing right that month. And I really think that if we can get kids to come to school, butts in seats is going to change so much. Of course, it's going to give us ADA, and who doesn't want our school to have more ADA? That means more funding, that means more programs, all that. We can say that till we're blue in the face. That's fantastic. But then the next slide, if we do change our ADA and get kids coming to school, we're going to have our test scores going up. Plain and simple, ADA correlates to our test scores going up. So, and if we're going to get our test scores to go up, get kids to come to school, and just continue to make those green bars go over, that's goals. I know I harp on attendance a lot. I'm a big attendance person. So, I think that diving deep into where we're doing right with that would be awesome. And then for the students, you guys are fantastic. And I know that there's quite a few that were on that list that aren't here. So thank you to you for being here, for taking time out of your day to be here. I love the idea of the peer mentoring. That plan sounds incredible. I love the idea of taking VHS students. Yeah, you do the road show, but actually taking them up to VHS to do the arts day and really get into working like they're a VHS student and doing all the cool things that you guys get to do. Because Vasquez gets to do a lot of cool things that most high schools don't get to do. So, really getting kids excited about doing that, and then getting them on board with the welcome packet. Those sound like fantastic ideas. So while you were saying that, I was asking like, how you guys are seniors, how are you going to carry this in next year and the year after and the year after and really grow those programs? And then I realized you're not all seniors and you do have underclassmen. And I am looking forward to watching those guys carry on what you guys are building here. So, and watching you guys that are juniors become seniors next year and really carrying on what you've already started and then just continuing to build on those fantastic ideas. That's very cool. It's a very cool program you have going on. So congratulations to that, and keep up the good work. And that's all I have to say about that.
I'll make a motion that we take a 5-minute break, please.
I'll second that. Call for question.
DeJillian, I.
Falls Graph, aye.
Maze, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. Okay, we will return from our little break at 8:26 p.m. We're going to move to 5A, report of action taken in closed session. We did not have action taken in closed session, but we do have a summary to be read. Mr. Falsgraf, can you please read what you have been provided?
Yes, I'm going to read a prepared statement word for word. Good evening, everyone, comma, exclamation point. Welcome to the May 22 meeting of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Education meeting. The statement I am going to read is a summary of the results of an investigation that the Board of Education authorized. The statement was prepared by legal counsel and district staff. As you may recall, we received a number of complaints about the principal at Meadowlark Elementary School. We also received an online petition that the principal engaged in unprofessional conduct and created a toxic work environment at Meadowlark Elementary School. The vast majority of the 245 individuals who signed the petition online had no connection to the school district. Approximately 30 of the 245 individuals who signed the petition had no connection to Meadowlark School or the district. In order to ensure an impartial investigation, the board retained, a Board of Education, retained an outside investigator to investigate the allegations against the principal. The investigator prepared a report for the Board of Education, and a summary of the report will be made available to the public. The investigator interviewed 30 witnesses and reviewed numerous documents. The investigator stated that she was asked to investigate allegations of bullying and unprofessional conduct by the principal at Meadowlark School, as well as the allegations listed in the petition. The petition alleged that the principal used unjust criticism, public humiliation, and unprofessional conduct. Let's start that line over. It's important. This is read word for word. The petition alleged that the principal used unjust criticism, public humiliation, and intimidation tactics that created toxic work environment and undermine the ability of the teachers at Meadowlark Elementary School to perform their duties effectively. The investigator found that many of the complaints were perception-based, rooted in secondhand information, and often lacked a clear connection to any policy violation. The investigator stated that dissatisfaction with the principal seemed to stem from resistance to implementation of new systems and accountability measures and the principal's direct style of communication. The principal told the investigator that a number of teachers at the school were very disrespectful, confrontational, and rude to her when she began working at Meadowlark. The investigator used a preponderance of the evidence standard in the investigation. If the investigator determined that it is more likely than not that an allegation was true, then a finding was made that the allegation was sustained. Where there was not sufficient evidence to meet that threshold, even if there is some supporting evidence, the finding was that the allegation was not sustained. The investigator stated in the report that in many cases, information provided was not supported by the evidence and was based on misconceptions. The investigator stated that in some cases, the people who were interviewed appeared to be biased against the principal and complained of matters that did not involve the principal. The investigator found the principal to be credible and forthcoming throughout the investigation, providing reasonable expectations for her actions and decisions. The principal characterized much of the complaints from teachers wanting to maintain the status quo and opposing changes that the principal wanted to make. At staff meetings, several teachers would complain about the programs the principal wanted to implement. The same teachers alleged that there was a lack of support for teachers by the principal. As an example of misperception pointed out by the investigators was when the principal presented data regarding low reading scores at Meadowlark Elementary School and the need for a change in instructional practices. Some of the teachers perceived the discussion of the need for a change as a lack of support for the teachers at Meadowlark School. The investigator also cited this as evidence of the teachers becoming defensive and claiming that disparaging remarks were made about teachers by the principal. The investigator found insufficient evidence to support allegations of unwarranted write-ups of teachers by the principal, allegation of negative statements to parents by the principal, allegations of mishandling of specific student incidents, and allegations of inappropriate conduct by the principal related to student safety. In all of these cases, the investigator concluded there was insufficient evidence to support the allegations. Also, several teachers described the existing teaching staff to the investigator as rude and unwelcoming to new staff members. Several staff members described the existing staff as opposing to using new programs introduced by the principal. Some staff members described the principal as a fantastic principal who's very supportive of teachers. In conclusion, the investigator stated that many of the complaints were perception-based, lacking in corroborative evidence, or did not indicate that there was a violation of district policy. The investigator concluded that the principal was able to provide reasonable explanations for her actions, and the investigator concluded that the principal was acting within the scope of her position as principal. If anyone would like to review a more detailed summary of the report will be available for review at the district office. That concludes my statement. I would like to propose that we carry on with the superintendent's report as it pertains to our guests. Then we move immediately to the presentation by the clinical social worker. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. So our second
Let's call the question.
Vigilian, aye.
Falls Graph, aye.
Mays, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye. What item number are we moving up?
Back to the superintendent's report.
And then we're moving up the presentation by the social worker. Where,
What is the title of that report, please?
that is 10A presentation, We Care AADUSD.
Beautiful. So we will move on with the superintendent report and then move to 10A.
And at that point, we'll pick up the agenda, and I thank you for the patience of our association representatives this evening.
Dr. Sahakian.
Thank you. Finally, our second presentation in the superintendent's report is with our AV SELPA and our AV CAC. Here this evening to share, we have Ms. Rosemary Napoleon, AV SELPA Program Administrator. And I'd like to also share, thank you, Ms. Benet Loftus, who is retiring for her leadership role in that capacity. And the chairperson for the AV CAC and our AADUSD representative, Ms. Angie Martin. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, board, superintendent, staff, and community. I'm Angie Martin. I'm the district's representative to the Antelope Valley SELPA Community Advisory Committee. I have been the CAC representative for 5 years, and I have held the position of chairperson for 3 years. I wanted to give an update on this past year and share some exciting news for us moving forward. So what is the CAC? Well, we serve as an advisory capacity, collaborating with the SELPA to help support parents navigating special education. As the CAC representatives board, we have board meetings and we plan parent workshops. We each year we send out a survey to our entire listserv, which is well over 200, on what topics that would be relevant to them. We send it out in English and in Spanish. In 2024, we had workshops on navigating the IEP journey, transition and graduation for students in special education, IEP peacemaking, unlocking the power of alternative dispute resolution, and behavior boot camp, equipping parents for the summer stretch. Our workshops and board meetings are held in a hybrid model, and interpretation is provided via Zoom. We were finally able to work out the glitches on that and make it happen about 1.5 years ago to have our meetings hybrid. And that was always been something that's very important to me because equitable access to information has just been on the forefront of my mind since I started volunteering here. So making sure that everyone that wants to participate has access was a definite priority when I became the chairperson. We currently have 9 district representatives. It's actually mandated that each school district has a CAC rep. When I became the representative 5 years ago, we had 3 reps. So that means 7 did not even have a representative at all. And so that's been a huge improvement. The CAC partners with the AV SELPA staff. We host tables at resource fairs throughout the region, usually about 2 or 3 a year. I field all the incoming emails that come in from all over the region asking us to attend different events. And so it could be a movie night, anything. And then I send those out to our whole listserv on a regular basis. So these are kind of things that even the SELPA office might not even be aware of. Then every year, the CAC, we review the annual budget plan. And if there's anything that we wanted to input into it, we can do that. Every 3 years, we review the local plan for special education. And I did that the last time, and many school districts had groups of people that came in, and we literally went through the document section by section. And I know it was presented to you guys. It's very, very long. And we had a very shining star group that was actually led by Miss Rosemary Napoleon. And it was this is a very interesting, funny story that I turned to one of the SELPA staff very impressed with how her team just diligently went through their section. Because not everybody participated. And I turned to one of the SELPA staff and I said, wow, they sure went through that with the fine tooth comb. And our eyes lit up. So at the end, I presented her team with the fine tooth comb award. So it was just, I just, have to keep it going now. So, we will probably, I think, do that next year. And then annually, next slide, the state SELPA puts on a legislative sharing day. And that is, the purpose is SELPAs from all over the state. We all meet up in Sacramento, and the SELPAs bring vice chairs from their CAC. Some of these parents will even bring their children. And we have guest speakers. This year was the state superintendent of education, and he spoke. We had a couple of other speakers. So then, next slide. And so these are the state SELPA priorities. These are not priorities that anyone else comes up with. The CAC does not come up with them. Some people have thought that, but that's not true. So these are the priorities that they've all came up with. When I have gone now to Sacramento 3 times, and I'm never pressured on what bill that I am going to speak to. I chose number 1. And I'm going to read you that bill. It's actually a resolution. So AJR 7, Special Education Funding Protection. Background. This measure would call on members of the United States Congress to oppose reductions to funding that negatively impact educational services for students with disabilities, and on the President and Congress to ensure that services and funding for students with disabilities are uninterrupted. I also follow that up with, I shared about our small rural school district, and any funding loss could be devastating. Then, unfortunately, 1 week later, I'm sitting here in a board meeting to hear that our mental health grant is threatened to be cut. I've been attending school board meetings for 6+ years now. So I'm very aware of how our district has struggled financially. And throughout these years, the grants that our superintendent has brought to our district has provided much needed breathing room. But these grants have provided much more than that. They have provided growth and hope. So this is part of Legislative Sharing Day. This is where we meet in the morning. This is where we hear our guest speakers. And then we move into, unfortunately, the actual Capitol building is under construction and has been. So there is what's called a swing space. It just looks like a giant building, unfortunately. But we were able to sneak into the State Assembly hearing on AB 1454, and it was regarding literacy. And it was very, very interesting. There was literally 50 to 100 people standing in line to just say who they are and that they were supporting it. And it was just very interesting to watch the process and to hear the assembly members speak. And while we were waiting to go up the elevators to go have our meetings with the assemblyman, we could hear the cheers of when it was voted on and passed. So you'll remember that bill because you'll be hearing about it. This was a picture of our meeting with Assemblyman Tom Lackey. I don't know if maybe not everybody knows, but actually Tom Lackey was a former SPED teacher, a former school board member. He is so supportive, as most probably know, of our school district. And when I shared what I shared about funding in our rural school district, he says, I know, I understand the struggles of AAD-USD my kids went through. And it's just to have that personal connection with someone up in Sacramento, it just really means a lot. So, nope, skipped one. Okay, no. Oh, okay. There was, I don't know what happened. Okay, anyways, alrighty. So it is my honor to introduce our new program administrator of the Antelope Valley SELPA, Rosemary Napoleon.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for inviting me today and letting me have an opportunity to introduce myself. I actually just started this position on April 1st, and I've had the pleasure of working with Angie for the last couple of years, actually in a different capacity. I just a little bit about myself. I spent 20 years in Lancaster School District, so it's been really hard to transition out of my Lancaster home. 10 years as a special ed director, and if you don't know much about special ed, it's about a 5-year career. So I spent 10 years doing it. I just loved it. I love special ed. I'm a parent of a student, of a child, actually an adult, of a child who has profound disabilities. So I spend my life just caring for him, and he had cerebral palsy, epilepsy, total care. He passed about 8 years ago. In July, it'll be 8 years. He was 2 weeks before his 28th birthday. Wonderful life, a wonderful person. So my life passion is to support families to understand the system of IEPs. It's a complex system. And I think in my work, I realize that parents grieve. Parents grieve from the time we make kids eligible to the time they leave us. So I think I really spent my work just having our IEP teams help parents understand special ed. That's all I want. And have patience and grace. We walk into IEPs with so much stress in our lives. And I think we forget in school systems that we also, outside of school, deal with medical, we deal with Social Security, we deal with all other issues. And I was fortunate enough to have a job, but a lot of our families out in the Antelope Valley don't, and they deal with a whole bunch of other things. So I always taught my staff to have grace and have patience. And that's kind of what I spent my career doing in Lancaster, is mentoring and helping our teams understand. So I actually met Angie, like she said, in our local plan meeting, and we had coffee one day. And I said, hey, what do you think about doing some alternative dispute resolution work with me? So we actually started this program where we help families resolve conflict. And we were very successful, I felt, in this last couple of years. And I really didn't want to leave because I really wanted to continue that work. But I thought going to the SELPA, I would not only help Lancaster, but I would help 10 school districts. And I wanted to extend my work. So that's kind of where my passion led me to. But I do miss the ADR work, but I feel like I could now mentor new directors. And I work with Devana, your program coordinator, who I love. And she is amazing. And she has great potential. So now I mentor her. And I just feel like that is where my work is now, just bringing my own skills to new directors. But I wasn't sure if he could make it, but I want to introduce our SELPA program specialist.
Yeah, my name is James Borey, and I'm a program specialist, board certified behavior analyst that supports the SELPA. I started February 3rd of this year, so Rosemary's time and my time together is 5 months, if I do the math right? But we have some big plans, talking to Angie about some big plans. I did have a speech lined up, but I know it's a school night, so I think I'm going to go ahead and save the speech for next time I see you guys. But yeah, we just want to be here to support Angie. The CAC is a big opportunity for us to meet with our parents. We're hoping to get more participation and yeah, reach our parents, support our parents, our families. You know, the relationships we build with our parents is probably one of the longest relationships that they're going to have over that time that they're in school. And so, as Rosemary said, like the IEP system, special ed, it's more than just special education services. It's supporting the community, supporting parents, supporting families along that journey.
Next slide. So just to let you know kind of what we do, our special education local plan area, we support 10 school districts. Your district is one of them. So technically, I kind of work for all 10 superintendents. So these are our 10 school districts. And this is just kind of a summary of what we do. In a nutshell, we do much more than this, but we really want to support and build the capacity of our leaders in just ensuring that our students with disabilities receive a free and appropriate education. We want to really make sure we have a continuum of services for all students. So for example, visual impairment. So if we have a student who has a visual impairment, we need to make sure that we have services for the student. All districts can't afford to have their own VI teacher. So we have, so Lancaster was the VI teacher. So we made sure that we had the VI teacher in Lancaster, and any district who had a student with VI needs, we made sure we supported that district. We want to collaborate with community partners and families, and that's where Angie comes in with the CAC. She does amazing work, and we appreciate it's all voluntary. And I just am amazed at everything she does and the time she spends with the work that she does. And the community with our community partners like Regional Center, with Family Focus, we are starting to build relationships with them. We ensure compliance with the California Department of Education, make sure our data is clean. James and our other program specialists provide professional development. I'll show you our website in a minute. And just understanding that working with students with disabilities, we want to build capacity, not just with teachers and staff, with anybody who works with a student with disability. And like Angie said, we support our local plan every year, every 3 years, and we have an annual budget that the superintendents look at as well. And then CAC also look at. Next slide. So here is our, if anybody would like more information, here is our website. It gives information about who we are, what we do. Parent handbook is on here. That's really important. We have our policies and procedures. We always talk about you have to tell your own story, and you want to make sure we give our positive kudos. So I actually started our AV SELPA Instagram page. So I just started it 2 weeks ago, maybe. We had 14 followers last time I checked. If anybody'd like to follow us, we want to just really talk about like Angie said, our CAC flyers. I just highlighted Gorman School District. James and I went out there. We had goats that were pregnant, that had little baby goats. We're going to post those. So we just want to highlight our districts and all the great things we're doing out there. Students with disabilities and their families need to be recognized. We are parents who need a support group, and we are here for each other. And I think that's what we miss. And it is a hard job being a parent, and having a student with disability just adds extra pressure. So I just really want to be out there for everybody. So, we're going to be out there, and, we're going to post. So if anybody wants to follow us, that's where we're at. Next slide. I think that's it. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Don't go anywhere.
We'll go ahead and loop for comments.
I have absolutely none. Thank you so much.
I have one question. James, tell me about your background and your training and your experience level.
Yeah, my background started about 13 years ago in the home setting, working with parents and families of students with special needs, extreme behavioral concerns. I did it as volunteer work while I was at community college. I had a lot of thoughts at the time of doing something different. It was really hard work. Like Rosemary said, working with the families. It was tough, but as I continued my education in the field of psychology and behavior analyst, I was able to support families, watch families observe their kid say their first word, request their first meal, learn how to do self-help skills. And so that rewarding piece there kept me in the game. Transition over to Cal State Long Beach to get my behavior analyst certification, as well as my master's degree in school psychology. Ended up meeting Rosemary Napoleon at Lancaster School District about 6 years ago. All the leadership she talked about, I could vouch for. It's what had me follow her over to the SELPA and continue this work, but at a bigger capacity. You catch that? Yeah. And now I'm.
I got a game going on that's been being played for 6 months. Do your part.
Is it how many times I say or whatever? Okay. No, but that brought me to the SELPA in February. And so that's where I'm at.
Perfect. Be seated.
Thank you.
I don't want to wear your legs out.
Ugh, tired up here. It's a school night.
No, seriously, be seated, please. No, we're not. I'm making sure they're comfy. These aren't questions. Relax. I'm going to talk to you about my experience historically with the SELPA, and we're not going to look at, who or what or why, but this didn't happen, people, by accident. This is not a meet and greet. I started worrying about funding a long time ago. And this presentation that's going to come up by our clinical social worker is not an accident. So here was my experience with the SELPA. I went to my first SELPA meeting. You all know my daughter that just passed. I sat in a room one night on Christmas Eve and told that we should terminate her before she was born. I sat in a doctor's office who gave us her genetic makeup and diagnosis at 18 months. There was a psychiatrist and a social worker there, because imagine that you are told that your child, as inherent as their nose shape or anything like that, is genetically programmed to die young and be basically non-functional in every way. Some people can never get past that because they spend their life mourning a child who was not born normal. And this child is just a constant reminder of that. Imagine that. Yeah, I know what you do. I don't know how you do it. I'm glad you do it. And I'm glad a person of your capacity is at the SELPA. But this is what the CAC meeting looked like. I walked in and they have programs that are supposed to be educational programs. So somebody's in the background, and it's a mandate to have a CAC rep, because anytime there's tax money, you got people like us up here that are telling these people what to do, and we don't know, I won't swear, anything about anything, and we're just a necessary evil. And I think back then, the CAC rep was there, and I saw the meeting hijacked by a group of little angry parents who had their agenda to push. And it was like, and then it went out in the parking lot and there was strategizing going on against the district. It was horrendous. And then there's this idea about parents. You walk into, I did an interesting thing called Underground School Board. It talked about the land of goo goo gaga, where you're a parent and you're at the house and it's a 3-hour trip to get out with a diaper bag and everything. And so all of a sudden you go into a room and you're still dealing with your own thing. And people are saying things like, oh, that's a medical issue, or no, we don't do that here. You're just looking for help. So you walk into an IEP meeting and it's like, oh, hi, how are you? You're the worst dressed one. You're the most uneducated one. There's 50 people there. I've been into an IEP meeting in which it was lawyered up for 2.5 days. And a person was serving the district who was as a consultant testifying against Tammy's needs, while they were also serving on the executive board of her foundation. I've been in the trenches. I know what it, and I'm going to tell you this. If you look at the website for the policy and management subcommittee, I ran the lawyer. No one knew I was doing this. I appear to be so random, but I ran the lawyer step by step how to create a $2 million lawsuit liability. Watch it. It's shocking. I lay it out how to do it. So historically, what's happened with these people here is they're the CAC is kind of like we are to the district. So they're the community aspect that comes in and says, hey, we're here to help. We're here to have a relationship, but we're also here to make sure that the taxpayer money doesn't go to a superintendent's salary and personal wealth building. And I'll leave that at that. So at the end of the day, what I was seeing was a culture of people coming in, bullying people, staff, and then the goal of what they're really trying to do as a unit here is to make it where someone is not coming into the meeting feeling ignorant, feeling massively overwhelmed, undereducated, and then worse off, underdressed, because there's a big fashion show going on. And then at the end of the day, I don't care what anyone's saying up there at all. It's the most insignificant thing in my life. Sorry. Not sorry. But then they ask you questions like, tell us about the strengths of your children. They call it a facilitated IEP meeting. It's very funny if you ever have to go through one. I wouldn't wish it upon anyone. But what happens is board members, all they see of special education, another settlement, to the point where somebody asking someone, hey, I need some help here. I need to find something, because the federal special education program is mandated by federal law. I can be, if I do the wrong thing on the school board, I can become responsible staff members. So when I'm in the back and I ask about a case, first thing I asked was IEP timely. Second, did you support the parents' right to have some information up front? If you don't have that, you're dead in the water. At some point, there's a book called Survival Guide to Due Process Hearing. I tried to get it. It was a nightmare. I had to threaten legal action to get it, because what it is, it's a handbook that says if you've dropped the ball at this point, or this point, this is what the attorney will do. So everything that staff has tried to do, whatever, gets swept aside so the attorney can get a signature of release. And then because somebody dropped the ball because they were underfunded, didn't have the authority, the capacity, or afraid of the school board bullying them because we're all ignorant about the needs of others. We've put somebody out of state because, well, you just have 15,000 a month. You're flying all kinds of people all over the place. And we get, what do we get ADA? A kid, 12.5. So every month I'm putting an ADA for a kid and a half. So every kid and a half we're paying somebody to go to a non-public agency, and then they tell us, oh, you have to monitor their emotion, their whether the educational program is relevant or not. And those people's lawyers are like, oh yeah, well, you couldn't do the service yourself, so we're going to villainize you, and we watch money go out the window. And meanwhile, this relationship is undermined. And then suddenly the most effective part of all this is at some point they call in their specialists, like this gentleman or whatever, and you call the SELPA to get you out of trouble because you have an internal cultural sickness and illness. I do not like my students characterized as needing constant help, like they're fragile and hid in some type of identity crisis every day. That's not reflective of the kids in my town. I don't give a damn if you voted what way you vote. It's not our role to be partisan up here. I'm not going to be characterized as somebody that, I'm not Portland. Sorry, our streets are clean. We give people services. I want you to remember, I asked a little bit ago, you have to watch me because it'll hit you 6 months later, and then I'll act stupid like it was all random. I ran the attorney at the first policy and management group, sending out a message, do not screw up, ask for people, especially people who are trying to help you, please. But at the end of it, we still have 19% of our kids requiring special education services exiting high school. Those numbers are supposed to go down because at some point you realize this is the capacity, this. But when you got that kind of pass through, when you go to the next step, which is college, do you have the same level of support? No, you're on your own. I dare anybody that has a normal kid trying to enter the job market right now, and they actually think about the American dream, what a joke. But I'm tired of funding being cut. Rosemary, I know more about you than you know. I am tired of watching our allotment for this district go to Band-Aid services when it's too late. I know about your program. And I hope that somewhere in the SELPA plan, there is a little tiny bit for you to make yourself known and for you to make yourself known. And I really don't want to see you around, but I'll be happy when you are if we need it. But we got a new school right out here. And I want to remind everybody, who's the first kids in our school system? Who hits you first? The 3-year-olds. Where do they come from? The regional center referral. They need early intervention. I do not want to spend money on some parents that are lighting up everybody in the parking lot because they don't get the emotional support they need. I don't need staff checked out because they're being bullied and harassed. I don't need any of that. Please be at our new campus often and early. And if you need a place to take what you've done at Lancaster and show that it'll work at a regional level, please do that for us. I'll have comments for you when you give your presentation. This lights me up. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you for all you guys do. It's very much needed, so we do appreciate it.
So I know that the majority of the people have no idea, including me. I really don't know all that you do. I get maybe 1% of what you do. And I know it's huge. I know it's big, and I'm very thankful that I don't know what you do, honestly. Angie, I know that you give a lot of your time, a lot of volunteer time. You're here every single board meeting, and I know that you do so much that nobody in this town knows what you do, but you do give so very much of your time and your energy. And I just want to thank you for all that you do for people that have no idea you're even doing it. You're working in the background and you're working in the shadows and you're doing things for people that need it the most. So thank you so much for all you do for our kids and our families and our community.
Kleenex, is anyone? I would invite you to stay if your schedule allows. Thank you for being here. Are we ready to hear from our clinical social worker?
Thank you, Vice President. That concludes my report. Thank you.
I think there's more, but we'll cover it at the end.
Okay, now we will move on as previously voted for this change in our agenda. We will move to 10A presentation, We Care AAD USD.
Thank you, Dr. Sahakian, board members, and the community for having me and giving me this platform. I am Elizabeth Ortiz, a licensed clinical social worker and therapist for the AAD-USD mental health program, We Care. This is my amazing, wonderful team of therapists. They are the dream team. This is Sharniqua Emil. She has her ASW PPSC, therapist and preceptor for Vasquez High School. Alondra Conde, ASW, therapist and coverage preceptor for High Desert Middle School. Zuli Quesada, ASW, PPSC, therapist, school counselor, and field supervisor. This is Emma Reyes Lopez, ASW, therapist and preceptor at Meadowlark Elementary School. The We Care program also has a school internship program under the USC School of Social Work. We had 2 fabulous interns for this school year. Ms. Christina Morales is an intern. She serviced Vasquez as well as High Desert. And then we have Natalie Arquiga, and she did both High Desert and the elementary school. And what this does is this allows for our interns to come in to learn about the field, to learn, what it is to be a therapist, all of the techniques, all of the therapy interventions, and they get their field learning experience. And this also creates more services for our kids on our campuses. We'd like to give a huge thank you to our school counselors for supporting our program and collaborating as a team. When we came into this district, they were the 2 pillars who helped us, uncover what are the needs for our schools, what's going on the campuses, what are some things that we can be working on right away. This is Nicole Salcedo and Tiffany Quesada. We've been working really closely with them, our team, just to develop and to learn like I said, what our school needs are. Our mission, the AADUSD Mental Health Program's mission is to provide access to direct mental health services to the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District students to promote and advance the safety, health, and overall well-being of each student. Our vision is to create a culture of safety and wellness at the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District and the community as a whole, focusing on mental health services, support health education, and wellness events. We strive for all students to feel safe, respected, and valued, creating a school environment that promotes emotional well-being to sustain academic success, encourage lifelong achievement for students. Our services, we provide direct mental health therapy to students, face-to-face therapeutic sessions and groups, training to all AADUSD staff on mental health and wellness, and psychoeducation. Our services, like I had mentioned, direct mental health therapy, groups, training, and psychoeducation, not only for our students, but for our staff. And the beauty of our program, and there is no service fees. As you all know, mental health, it's very hard to get into an agency because of various things, because of insurance, because there's long waiting lists to a lot of agencies. And as you know here, this is the first time ever that we have ever had mental health directly here on our Acton Agua Dulce area. Other than that, we have to outsource and provide linkages. Our closest ones is Palmdale and Santa Clarita. So the beauty of this is there's no service fee, and then it's right on our school campus. So the students don't have to go anywhere. The parents don't have to transport them. We are directly on campus. And as you know, we're a rural area. It is very hard for transportation to get out to Palmdale and to Lancaster and to Santa Clarita. And again, our services, we cannot, because they're direct mental health services, we cannot meet with the students unless we have consent from the parents. Our referral process, parents, teachers, school administration, and staff can refer a student to receive mental health services, and students can self-refer through our AADUSD mental health program. We created QR codes to make it even simpler for our teachers and for our students. So as you know, it is difficulty as it is if you're struggling or having mental health issues. So the students don't have to come into the office to even say, I need these services. They can go in on their phone, tag the QR code, and put their information that they either need to see us right away, they want to see us tomorrow, or they just want more information about the program. These are our fabulous We Care AADUSD sweatshirts. This is our logo that we created as a team. And then on the back, it says, if you're reading this, you matter, we care. And, this has allowed us to show the students, we really do care about you. We are not disciplined. The kids know we are not disciplined. If we're there for them, if there's a discipline issue, we provide the social emotional support. And then for the discipline, that goes to administration, to principal. So they know that we're there to be like, hey, what's going on? Tell me what's the underlying thing. So, we have really worked hard to build rapport on our campuses, to establish relationships with not only the students, but the staff. And the students really feel that we're approachable with them. They have even stated that. We're the first ones there in the morning, usually before the bell even rings. So we have students even lining up at our door to maybe talk about what happened the night before, what happened over the weekend, that they need to process something. And we're the last ones to leave because our students, after school, that maybe something happened during the day, or maybe they're struggling and they're scared to go home that night. So we're always, first thing in the morning and, last to leave all the time. The brochures that we have, these were created by our team. Alondra, she's one of our, she's called the Canva queen. So she, makes a lot of our logos, a lot of our brochures. We have one for each school, and you can find them in the front office of each of our school sites with all of our contact information. We provide this to the parents. We provide them to the students and the community so they know how to reach out to us. These beautiful mental health resource posters, also created by Alondra, by Zuli, and the whole team, added to it. These are posters that are going to be up in our classrooms, our campus sites, that shows where the students can receive mental health resources, not only on our school campuses, but on other for other agencies as well as, what are some things that you were experiencing, some positive coping strategies. There's a QR code with our referral on it, and then how to avoid the strategies of, being stressed out or feeling overwhelmed, and some more resources. Our certifications, so my whole team is certified in CBITS, which is a cognitive behavioral intervention for trauma in schools. A school-based group and individual intervention that uses cognitive behavioral techniques is designed to reduce the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, depression, and behavioral problems, as well as to improve functioning, grades and attendance, peer parent support, and coping skills. It's been used with students in grades 5 to 12 who have witnessed or experienced traumatic life events, such as community and school violence, accidents, injuries, physical abuse, domestic violence, natural and human-made disasters. We are also certified in Bounce Back. This is an adaptation of CBITS. The Bounce Back program helps school-based clinicians work with children in kindergarten through 5th grade. Like CBITS, the program is intended for students that are exposed to at least one traumatic event who are experiencing traumatic stress symptoms. We have had a few groups for the Bounce Back and for CBITS, and we also collaborated with the official trainers that created these interventions, and they have allowed us to even use some of the interventions for these programs in our individual sessions. So we are pulling from the notebooks, and we are actually doing these in our individual sessions as well. We are actually the threat and risk assessment team, part of the assessment team. Each site has an identified risk and assessment team. So we work closely with our principals, with our admin. Nurse Carrie has been a huge part of that. Thank you to Nurse Carrie. She is also specialized in risk assessments, and she gives the medical lens when we really need it, and also, just information about medical that we need for a student. We did receive formal training with Dr. Wong, and she is a trainer that has been providing a lot of the trainings in response to a lot of the school shootings that are nationwide. So she, gives us strategies. She gives us ways on how we can go about threats or any risk on our campus sites. And out of this, we created policies, procedures. Tiffany and Nicole have, before we even got here, had created a lot of the policies and procedures, and we just fine-tuned those policies and procedures and worked with them. Confidentiality. So we are confidential. Confidentiality requires behavioral health professionals to protect their clients' privacy by not revealing what they say during sessions without their consent. Of course, we tell the kids, the students, what stays in here, what you say in here stays in here, unless you're harming yourself, harming others, or for any child abuse or neglect. And they know that their sessions are confidential. So they feel, and I've heard this from a lot of students, that they feel safe in our rooms. And you can see our rooms on the next slide. We worked really, really hard to create safe, calming spaces. I've heard from many students that they feel so safe in these rooms. They feel very calm. So if they're having an anxiety attack, a panic attack, they know to go to Miss Charlie's office, Miss Zulie's office, Miss Emma's office, Miss Alondra's office. We really worked really hard to figure out what we need in our offices and what we can use for the best interventions when a student is experiencing these things. We did have Kindness Week at the beginning of this year, which was huge for our sites. So we created on Meadowlark site, and for the Little L's and for the middle school, we did trees. So the students would come, we had heart cutouts, and they would put kind things on the hearts. And it was amazing to see what they would say, or they would even give it to their peers, which was a beautiful sight. So one of them on here, it says, "You are beautiful just the way you are." And for Vasquez, we did leave one, take one. So they would write on the heart and then they would take one. And just to see the smiles on their faces, or just saying like, I really needed that today, was huge for these students. Classroom presentations, we've been going into classrooms and we've been doing bullying prevention, information about bullying, different kinds of bullying, because as you know, cyberbullying is, really common with the world right now. So we do a lot of intervention for bullying, testing anxiety. We're just doing overall, mental health, a lot of classroom presentations, and then reminding them that we're here for them if they need to talk. And a lot of these presentations,
they would go back to the offices and right away students would start coming in. You know what? You brought this up. I need to talk to you about this. So it just gave them a way to open up about a lot of things. PD presentations on the next slide. We went into PDs for the teachers and we provided mental health training or just, opening it up about what mental health looks like. Teachers, they're overwhelmed with just even teaching, and mental health is just a whole nother level. And, we were trying to let them know ways that they can incorporate things in their classrooms, how we can support them, what that looks like for a student. We really don't know what's going on with the student every day. They can come in with, a whole bunch of stuff that happened in the morning, and we use the iceberg analogy. Like we only see what's on top of the iceberg. We don't see what's going on in the bottom. There can be a lot going on. The student maybe didn't even eat this morning, didn't eat last night, so they're not concentrating in class. That comes out as they're being they're being argumentative or dismissive, but really their basic needs are not being met. And what we're doing is we are pulling that child, or we're not, saying, oh, these behaviors are so bad. We're asking, hey, what's going on? Like, what's going on? What's going on at home? Are you okay? And we're finding out there's more underlying needs, and we're able to help them or help their family. And then we see like a complete 360 on the behavior on the campus. You want to turn the next slide. We did have Mental Health Spirit Week, as you heard earlier this evening, this week. So we had Music Monday, wear your favorite band t-shirt because music is a great coping skill. Tuesday, Twin Day, dress like a friend because you're not alone. Wear Green Wednesday, Mental Health Awareness Month. Wear colorful clothes to represent the many emotions that we feel. Tie-dye, as you see, Michelle's wearing a tie-dye today. I love that. Feel Good Friday. Wear pajamas to lower your stress level. I've even gotten the district staff to participate, letting them, like, where's your green? Or, pick a buddy and dress like them. So the kids really got into it. They loved it. This is our chalk activity that we did actually yesterday, and it was a really beautiful sight to see. So I personally did the ones at the Little Owls outside. And you can see the picture on the bottom. I asked the littles, what makes you happy? And one of them said, my family makes me happy. And she drew her whole family. And she was like, oh, my dad is bald. And she was going into like actual details and saying like that my daddy's holding a heart because, I love him. So it was just beautiful to see, what their perspective was. And then a lot of the middle schoolers, actually wrote very, very big and very positive things. Like, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to give up. You're loved. We saw a lot of kids collaborating and even working together on the chalk. So it was just really beautiful yesterday. And it's still on our sites if you want to even go see it. The next slide, Zuli Quesada, she actually partnered with DMH, and she got DMH to come here free of charge because, we just built that connection, and she provided training for parents. So DMH actually came in, provided many trainings for our parents on our High Desert site. And we got a few parents to show, we're just trying to promote it a little bit more. And then actually Zuli and Alondra, after that was over, they overtook it and continued with the parent training. And our next slide is, really powerful. We sat in a lot of rooms that, students sitting right in front of me, they were in very dark places. They had plans to take their life, they had a means to take their life, a way to take their life, and they were going to do it that day. And try not to cry because they were sitting right in front of me, right? But these are the things that we do. We help them through this darkness. We're kind of like that light. Kids have told us that. Some of the things that they, go through: anxiety, depression, anger, suicidal ideation, self-harm, eating disorder, peer conflicts, trauma, substance abuse, and self-esteem, and grief. And there was just 2 quotes that I used. May it be a light to you in dark places when all other lights go out. Hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. So this is what my team does for the students. These are some data on our services. So direct student services and support, number of individuals determined to need an assessment, either a risk assessment or a threat assessment. And this is just, we just started this last year. So and we have a very small school district. So out of that was 173 that we've done so far. And this is with our counselors. Of those number of individuals that are determined to be a threat to themselves of others, 127 out of the 173. Of those number of individuals that are referred to a program, 140. And number of students currently receiving therapy services, 102 students that are receiving individual counseling. 9.4% of our district students currently receiving individual therapy services. And this is not even counting the students that we just provide support services for, whether it be they're just having a bad day that day and we're just being a supportive staff. That does not go into these numbers. So some of the support services that we do on the next slide as well is we provide guidance to teachers and staff through emails and in-person meetings. We share safety plans once we implement them. We attend IEPs with permission of the student and parent to provide support and update on therapy goals and services, which I love that it was talked about earlier about IEPs. You know, a lot of our students, they feel like they don't have a voice, and we are encouraging and advocating that they have a voice for themselves. So if they feel like they want to say something in their IEP, we actually talk about that in session. We write it down with them, and then we sit with them in the IEP and give them that strength to actually say that in the IEP. Same with the parents. If the parents feel like they want to say something, if they need our support, we also sit in with the IEPs. And this is just an extra service that we do. This is not even part of our grant requirements. This is just something that we saw there was a need for. Offer referrals and linkages to external mental health services for more intensive care and other community resources. So for those students that may need even higher than us support, maybe it be FSP services, wraparound services, or just more intensive therapy, we do provide that outside, and we continue to provide that support in-house, and we collaborate with their outside therapists or their outside team. And then we attend a lot of the morning huddles or morning meetings with our principals and with our admin to see what's going on the school site, how can we help? And this is just something that we came up with, handle with care. So, you know, we're very confidential, but what we do is if a parent reaches out to us and says, hey, like this is going on, they're having a rough morning, we send a handle with care notification through email to the teacher, to staff, just to, you know, let them know they might be having a rough day today. Can you just give them, you know, some extra love today? And that's how we notify them. Again, I want to say, you know, the names of my team members, because these are amazing human beings that work on our school sites. Ms. Charlie at Vasquez High School, Ms. Alondra at High Desert Middle School, Ms. Zulia at High Desert Middle School, Ms. Emma at Meadowlark Elementary School. School campuses have increasingly requested additional support services, highlighting their growing in need. It is difficult to imagine these services being reduced or eliminated, and I cannot envision our school campuses without this team of highly dedicated individuals. And, you know, I'm from here, I'm from this community. So I'm very passionate about these services, and I'm very grateful that I have the opportunity to be the first school social worker. So it's more than just a job to me. This is me giving back to my community. I graduated Vasquez High School, and my teachers were there for me. I had Tim Jorgensen, I had Miss Susie Burkowski, Miss Lloyd Aqua, you know, Miss Ames. They were all there for me when I went through the loss of my dad. I was about to graduate Vasquez, and they were all there for me. And I wish I would have had a Miss Emma, a Miss Charlie, or Miss Alondra, because they just added more support, you know, when someone's grieving. So a lot of our kids are grieving, and a lot of staff don't even know that they're grieving because of a loss of a parent, a loss of a relative, a family member. So we're just there to guide them, give them resources on what the grief cycle looks like, so they can concentrate in their classrooms. And then the next slide, this is my contact information. Again, I'm Elizabeth Ortiz, licensed clinical social worker. That's my work cell phone, my email. And if you ever want to reach out to me, let me know. Any questions, comments?
Yes, I haven't had the pleasure of meeting the whole team, but I have met Miss Charlie, and it makes me really happy, and it brings a lot of comfort to me knowing that my whole school, all 4 grades, they have someone to talk to. And actually, about 2 months ago, Miss Charlie reached out to me about the Mental Health Awareness Spirit Week. She wanted to collab with ASB just to promote it more and make sure the students would be into something like that. So she was just so great with that. And I'm with her every day at lunch now, talking to students and doing these chalk activities, doing bubble activities, and building rapport, building relationships with these students. And it's just so awesome to see. And I love it. I wish I wasn't graduating, but that's that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I hope everyone can see that what we saw tonight was a showcase of how we address on a personal level of personal excellence, that somebody comes to school ready to work, ready to do the right thing at a professional individual level, instead of looking around and pointing at somebody else and making it their fault. And nobody hears about this. I wanted everyone to hear about it because here's what's going on in my brain. I'll save you 6 months of trying to figure out what the hell I do. I know when I was a little kid, mental illness was a stigma. It meant you were lazy. It meant you were unmotivated. It meant that you weren't beat enough when you were a child to be compliant in the classroom. If you don't think that there's mental health needs in this country, then you haven't watched me very much. I have been through terrible things, especially recently. But the comfort I have, and I'm not going to lose it here, but the comfort I have is you people were watching Tammy and she was dying and we didn't even know it. So when Nurse Carrie brings a book forward and I put on some show about, am I going to have to get a lawyer to find out that my kid is trying to identify as a kitten at school? I don't like to be grouped into that group. That's not what we're doing here. And so what this was all about tonight was when we have to sit down and write a letter, and he wastes his time to write this letter. Oh, what are you going to, I remember I was at a candidate forum. It was like, hey, Fallsgraf, what's your plan without the charter money? Do your job, do it well, and live within your means. So now he works, brings the money in, leads in a way that supports this kind of thing, takes shots in the community because of one thing or another. There's biases all over the place. Now he's going to waste his time writing letters like, please don't take our money away. The reason we did this tonight, because you're on television, and I want you to send a hyperlink of this video in every letter of appeal you send out, because I want them to know what you do, what you do, what you do, and Nurse Carrie, what you do. Principals, thank you for supporting this. This is an indication of, I'm always telling you, I don't want to run your school for you. I don't want to do, when I have to do your job for you, oh, I like a body count. I really do. I like lessons. Let me tell you, I work for a governmental agency, and what I tell the commissions and council that I report to is that I respect the fact that their role, just like the CAC, just like us, is to kind of look at what the taxpayer thinks and wants for the good part of our community and represent it that way, and not be up here being some constant change agent and vilifying me. I vilify myself well enough without anybody's help, but to support that person, because you know I got so many superintendent notches on my gun belt, I'll take them out in a minute. But it's his job to find a way to make education meaningful. So principals, I appreciate the fact that the way you run your campus, you don't bring things up and drop them in my lap where I'm outside looking at the people that voted for me and I'm embarrassed and appear to be a puppet of an attorney telling me what I can say and not say, or a puppet to staff. I'm proud of this. I'm very proud of this. The county used to run this. And what mental health to the county meant is it's the extreme case where they show up for a 5150. So you, in addition to any problem you're having, imagine me being your father, that's enough. But you come to school with your issues, and then you have a day where you just can't handle it and you say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, and you're in an ambulance. Do you ever want to go back to school? You're ostracized, marginalized. Nurse Carrie, thank you. Principals, thank you. All of you all people, put your head together. Make that little school over that we just opened up a showcase. Can you do that? And Elizabeth, if I may, I appreciate you being there, Do you know that the Antelope Valley Press, that you're on the front page today? Did you know that? Well, you know now. Yeah. So you'll sign me a copy, but it talks about what you were talking about tonight. And I asked for this. And I appreciate the fact that you can give us data and numbers so people who are thinking about cutting us back, we can put your report, we can put the newspaper in the package and say, it's very clear, we don't deserve to be cut. We're getting the money's worth. So thank you for summarizing the data and making it in a way that it shows measurably what we're doing. And it's not all touchy feeling. You're giving numbers, but you're most of all protecting the dignity of the people you're helping. Thank you very much, all of you. This was the best puppet show I ever put together.
All right, I got a couple things. One, I've seen firsthand what you guys can do, and it's amazing. As a survivor of the country's worst mass shooting, my kids were in elementary school. They did not have a program like this, and it took them a while to be able to understand mom and dad are coming home if they go out. I wish we would have had something like this for them at their school when they went the next day and we weren't home yet and they didn't know what to do. So I do appreciate everything you guys do. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
To see how far we've come, in the 2020-2021 school year, we were down to one counselor in our district. And that's not because we only needed one counselor, but that's what we had. To see how far we've come and what you have built and the team that has just poured heart and soul into this program, absolutely incredible. I've sat in a school office when a student came in the office and said, I need to see the principal right now. And she was busy. She was in an IEP. I said, can you wait? Do you want to sit? Do all the normal things. Text the principal. This kid needs you right now. It's an emergency. He only wanted to talk to our principal. And because of the relationship that she was able to build, the student was in the bathroom. He had the means with him on campus to end his life. And because of the relationship that she had built with this particular student, he told her that he thought of her and what it would do to her, not to his family, not to his friends, but that relationship that she had built with that student on campus. And I think of that moment often where she came out of the IEP and took him into her office and he laid a handful of pills on her desk and said, I needed to give you these. I think of that moment often working in a school office, working around children. So when you say you sit in rooms with these students day after day, the amount of lives that you're changing, and our school district is not a stranger to the unthinkable, to what the worst of the worst that can happen. What you're doing is not just changing one life, you're changing the lives of kids that you don't even know that you're changing, people that you may not even talk to. Those are the lives. It's a snowball effect, and it's absolutely incredible what you've been able to build. So thank you so very much. Thank you for this presentation. Thank you for what you do every single day. Where we would be, who knows where we would be without what you've built. Dr. Sahakian, I think your first day here, we took a walk outside and we talked about mental health. And you explained how you come from a counseling background and how important it is for you. And I let you know that that was one of the things for me coming onto the board that was hugely important to me. And then my years as president, I just wanted to build our mental health. This is so far beyond what I could have ever imagined for our district. And I feel like you're just continuing, just because you're here and you're doing great things. I feel like you're just going forward and building and constantly in a state of what more can we do and how can we build on what we're doing now? And that's absolutely incredible. And our school district is incredibly lucky to have this program and to have the people that are running this program. Switching gears for a minute, I attend the California School Board Association Annual Education Conference every year. And every year they come out in April, they ask for submissions of workshops. And I'm always thinking, like, what could we do? Like, I think our school district is fantastic, but what could we do to take our little school district? What you've built needs to be shared. So submissions for this upcoming annual education conference in December have closed. But if you guys could think about doing that for the 26 AEC, this would be something to share with everybody in California. You need to share what you've have going on here because it's absolutely fantastic. Not a directive, obviously, but I think it would be great for you to share what you're doing. And then I do have one more question. Eric, are you wearing PJs tomorrow or how's that gonna look?
That's a great question. I'll try to find what I have that's appropriate. Thank you for the question.
Yes, go ahead and loop.
Thank you so much.
I've got nothing.
The reserve, so stingy. And please get the money back. Do whatever you need to. Send me to talk to the people if that's necessary. But I want to point out something. There are things that we need to do to keep things safe. So if you look at the purpose of the subcommittees, it was, are your facilities safe? Are your systems safe? Is your IT department making things safe? Are your classrooms safe? Are your kids safe from emotional duress? This was the purpose of the subcommittees. So we've been in the AV press, and I would like to thank Sophia Lesios for covering the district 2 or 3 days in a row. That's significant. And thank you for you're just saying what people say and you're promoting our district and that's great. But this board made a commitment to put $900,000 of the reserve into the buildings, and Bill and Lester were on the first subcommittee to do that. And they hung in there and said, no, we don't care what it is. It's going to take us closer to the fiscal cliff. But this one is really, really important to me. It's really important to me. So I want everybody to know that when I get onto something, it's going to stay there. I want this program here. I don't think everybody knows what that means, but I want this program to stay funded, even if we have to do it out of the reserve. So when you're coming up and asking for, can we have this? Can we have this? I will send you to talk to Miss Elizabeth and have her help you through why I'm not going to give you the money, but I want this program funded. And the day will come soon where I'm going to have to ask for that. I can see it coming. I'm not going to have the district characterized as it is. This is a perfect example of why I serve on this board right here. This is the best day of 10 years of my life right here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we will resume our regularly scheduled program. We're going to go all the way back to 6A, public comments, recognition, and reports.
At this time, we don't have any public comments. Thank you.
A point of business. Is there an estimation about how long it will take us to get through this? Do I need to make a motion to extend the meeting till 10:15 or 10:30?
I would say 10:15 at the earliest. Thank you.
So I make a motion to extend the meeting to 10:30.
I'll reluctantly second. Call for question.
Natalie, I.
It's you, Val.
Aye.
Maze,
Brianna Taxoni, aye. Okay, 7A. She's already ready. She's not messing around. Ada representative.
And it's one of my longer little things I I love you all. Just saying. Okay, so remember back a couple months ago when I said I ran a little staff survey? I did turn in 4 reports to Eric for you guys to look over on your own time. There was no way I was going to present them all here. It'd take me 2 hours. So, but I wanted you to have all the details of all of the findings from it because I thought it was important. And so I just wanted to come here and give you the briefest of brief summaries of what it had said. And so that's what, I'm sorry, but there was 41 staff members across multiple campuses that participated in the survey. It provided a range of feedback from new and experienced educators. Overall, staff morale can be described as cautiously optimistic, but strained. There's a strong appreciation for students, coworkers, and site-based support, but this is undercut by the deep frustrations around the district level communication, unsustainable workloads, and inadequate resources. Morale was across the various sites. High Desert demonstrated the most positive morale of all of our 3 sites. Vasquez was just slightly lower, not as much lower. And then of course, Meadowlark had the lowest morale rating, reflecting serious burnout, insufficient support, and administrative issues. Despite the hurdles, many of our educators expressed a desire to stay and serve our students, though they're increasingly waving their red flags. Focused improvement in leadership, consistency, behavior policies, and compensation and manageable workloads is critical to reversing the burnout and restoring morale. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. 7B, CSEA rep. We don't have one available. 7E, Facilities and Finance Subcommittee report.
Finance and Facilities Subcommittee met on May 20th. We went over the project oversight and project summaries for this coming summer / going on. Mr. Wynn and Ernesto went over how long it's going to take to get a lot of this stuff done, i.e. the new canopies for Vasquez, roofs at High Desert, and painting at Meadowlark and repairs. So they're going to get that stuff done as quick as possible once they get their bids in. We also went over software licensing and cost of usage. Real quick, what was that number again that you were saving? They figured a savings of $80,000 after going through and figuring out what they could get rid of and not use anymore. So thank you for finding those cost savings. And then, yeah, that's pretty much what we went over that meeting. Thank you, guys.
7F Education Subcommittee Report. We met this past Tuesday. We spoke about the new short-term independent study contract. We went over the contract. We also looked at how it's being used in school sites and talked about staff training and how staff is going to be using this across the board in the same way so that parents are getting the same information no matter what school site their students are at. We also, I asked for feedback from our school sites, and Paula's graciously going to do another update at our next meeting and how that's going. School staff just started using this new STIS contract and the DocuSign in the last week or two, maybe 3 weeks. So there were a couple of suggestions, and so she's going to report back at our next meeting, and hopefully we can get a whole bunch of things ironed out so that at the beginning of the school year, that's, up and running. And we have all the kinks out so that we can really raise, I think that's going to be huge in raising ADA. We also had a report for instructional minutes and how many minutes our students have this school year and some of the discrepancies and waivers. So if you're interested in any of those details, definitely go back and watch that. We had a few board policy updates that we are going to start seeing on board agendas. Upcoming meetings, we're going to, like I said, look at the SCIS usage and the training of the school sites for using that. And then we're also looking at the plan for emergency school closures. That would be called the Instructional Continuity Plan. Thank you, Paula, for that. We plan on chit-chatting about that at our next meeting, which will be June 17th at 3 p.m. We do realize that school is out, but district staff is still working, and we do still have a board meeting after that. So we did decide to go ahead and meet. For the June meeting, we will not meet for the July meeting, and then we'll be back in August. So that is that. G, Policy and Finance Subcommittee Report.
We have pushed that meeting until, I believe, the 12th. There's already an agenda. Staff is ready to go. The committee members were not. The other committees are doing so well that we're not having to come in and put the hammer down on new board policies to adjust problems. So again, I can congratulate both teams. My vision was that we would be able to address safety, student safety, both physically, in learning materials. And I think we just had the icing on the cake tonight with the presentation of the different groups that are there to make sure that kids who need to feel safe do so. We will look forward to having the agenda posted for that meeting. Again, I think it's June 12th.
We will look forward to that. Thank you. 7H, submissions.
There are no submissions this evening. Thank you.
Fantastic. Consent agenda. I'm going to go ahead and move that in. Dr. Sahakian? Any changes?
There are no changes. Thank you.
All right, so the consent agenda calendar items 8B through 8E. Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
DeJillian, I.
Balls drop aye.
Mays, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 9A, personnel report. I'll move it in.
I'll second.
Dr. Sahakian?
Thank you. We do have an amended PAR. Speech pathologists rescinded their acceptance of the position after we posted the PAR report on Monday. Thank you.
Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
DeJillian, I.
Balls drop aye.
Mays, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 9B, approval, job description and salary schedule, board certified behavior analyst, BCBA. I'll move it in.
I'll second.
Dr. Sahakian.
Thank you. It's a newly created position, pending, of course, approval by our board. The BCBA implements appropriate instructional strategies, behavior management, and behavior intervention plans. This job description was vetted with our union. Ms. Erdrich, any comments?
Reason we're putting this position is because currently we're contracting out. So this would be a cost saving to the district to have someone internally as our own employee.
Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
DeJillian, I.
Balls, you have aye.
Mays, I.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 9C, initial, thank you. I just skipped right over that. Thank you for that. 9C, initial proposal for the CSEA and Chapter 473 to AAD-USD for the 25-26 reopener negotiations. I'll move it in.
I'll second.
Thank you. This is an initial proposal for the 25-26 reopener for negotiations that have been submitted to the district by CSEA. Initial articles presented: transportation, salary, benefits, and leaves. Thank you.
Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
DeJillian, I.
Balls, you have aye.
Mays, I.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. D, initial proposal of the AAD-USD to CSEA and Chapter 473 for the 25-26 reopener negotiations. I'll move it in.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay. AAD-USC presents our initial proposal for 25-26 fiscal year reopener for negotiations with the following two articles, which are salary and benefits.
Discussion? Call for question.
DeJillian, I.
Balls, you have aye.
Mays, I.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. All right, we already covered 10A, so we're moving to 10B, second read and adoption school plan for student achievement, SPSA, for Meadowlark, High Desert, and Vasquez High Schools. I'll move it in.
I'll second.
Thank you. As part of the second read agenda item, our three principals have put together a presentation that will present the highlights of the SIPSA plan, school plan for student achievement, as requested by the board. So we have Mrs. Van Ornum, High Desert, as well as Dr. Raina Smith, Vasquez High School. Thank you.
Clicker. I'm going to share on behalf of Meadowlark School first. Mrs. Jones is at her daughter's graduation from high school, so also very important. So for academic achievement, their goal is academic achievement, strategic support, and professional learning opportunities. And so their key things are they're going to be working on academic achievement by implementing a comprehensive literacy support program, UDL model for math intervention, and expanding learning opportunities for students like through their STEM program that they've been using the Makerspace. And then also implementing a more comprehensive ELD program, specifically with designated ELD instruction. For strategic support, they're looking at utilizing technology platforms for differentiated learning. They have a PLTW grant as well, so that's part of it. They're working to provide supplemental instructional materials as well as the adopted curriculum. And then with the area of professional learning opportunities, conducting data-driven instructional planning, primarily through the use of the iReady data that we have and being able to utilize that in a very concise way to improve student performance. And then professional development, specifically, we've talked about social emotional learning, effective instructional practices, and aligning our writing instruction so that it will support CASP testing and improve school culture. Goal number 2, student engagement, attendance, and positive behavior. So providing staff with professional development on student wellness and behavior, ensuring that they have safe physical environment,
For attendance, they're looking at a comprehensive attendance plan, providing school-wide social emotional learning program, and establishing a coordinated student support system. So that's MTSS. And then for positive behavior, continuing the implementation of school-wide positive behavior supports. And professional development and collaboration. So providing targeted professional development aligned with the LCAP action, supporting teacher participation in professional learning. So those are things like attending conferences, and then collaboration, really improving the instructional coaching and mentoring program and making sure there's teacher collaboration. For parent engagement and communication, hosting family workshops, providing translation and interpretation services, making sure to create a welcoming parent resource center, establishing a parent ambassador program, and then for advocacy, implementing a comprehensive communication system and supporting meaningful parent involvement in decision-making. Okay, so High Desert. For High Desert, things that we are working on, our specific targeted areas are on math, writing, and ELD. And we're looking to increase the instructional supplemental supplies, specifically with those key areas in mind, increasing interventions. So we've talked about before our double electives that are forthcoming. There is going to be built into the school day a math intervention class and an English intervention class that are separate to help with those two specific areas rather than a general study skills elective. Also, we've expanded opportunities for athletics, and I just shared about the expanded electives. For student engagement, we've already seen some of that, but we're increasing our parent education workshops, really developing like a parent university where parents can also get the extra education and things that they need to feel confident in supporting their students and their families. Grade level field trips. Field trips are really important in seeing beyond the classroom. And so we're going to continue with those and fund at least one field trip per grade level. Student extracurricular play and academic engagement. I think you've seen that's been a key focus on our campus of I really believe in if you keep kids busy doing good things, they won't have time to do all the naughty things. And so we've increased the amount of good things that they can do. We're increasing play areas and really giving floor space to academic and the pursuit of play to keep our kids engaged. Improving attendance. That's also one of the ways we're working on improving attendance is by increasing their desire to come to school. If kids feel like they're going to miss something, they're more likely to come up or to show up to school. And so we want them to, feel like school's that important and I don't want to miss. So we're working on that for attendance. And really engaging instruction. And so by focusing on engaging instruction, kids won't want to miss school. We were looking at classroom renovations. We started with teacher desks and chairs. We're hoping to be able to get some student desks and chairs going as well. And we have some from like the 80s. So we're hoping that they're in the works, in the process. Positive behavior, continuing for PBIS, SEL, restorative practices, academic intervention, and really what is like the core of our school is the Medal of Honor Character Development Program. Professional development, so lots of PD. Our campus has a lot of new teachers, and but we actually pride ourselves in that. We are like literally growing teachers. We're turning subs into teachers because we think they're so amazing, and we're like, you need to get in a program and let's make this happen. It's hard to recruit from out of the area, so we're trying to build from within the area with all the amazing staff that we have on hand. It does mean we keep shortening the sub list though, so we do need to increase that. So let's see, mentors and intern support. So while you're trying to grow teachers, you have to provide mentor teachers to support them. And we have some really amazing veteran teachers that take new teachers under their wing and just show them everything that they need to know. Because I was discussing earlier, teacher preparation programs, for as good as they are, they don't prepare teachers for what it's really like in a classroom. They teach them all the textbook knowledge, but classroom management and all of those things, they need peer-to-peer support and live interaction to make that really successful so that they can learn to do instruction and management at the same time. and then attending conferences. Just like I want kids to leave the campus and get outside experiences, I think it's important for educators to do the same thing, because there's a big world out there and we want to bring all those awesome ideas back to our campus. Oh, there should be a 4. There you go. Okay. And then communication. So parent and guardian communication. We made some big strides with this with the mental health workshops that Ms. Zuli brought with her connection with DMH. There were workshops that were offered 100% in Spanish, not translated, like the whole workshop was provided in Spanish, and it had the biggest turnout. And so we saw that there is a need for parents to be able to feel comfortable and join a meeting where they can just hear it start to finish in their native language. And so we're going to work on increasing that as well next year. And then, like I talked about, our parent university, some different ideas we have with that, and community engagement. We've done a lot with increasing community engagement, and we're just going to keep enhancing those programs. So that's it for High Desert. Thank you.
All right, so keep in mind, this is about a 60-page document, and this is 3 slides. So goal 1, see if we can condense this. Our goal is provide all students with, it mirrors board goals. Provide all students with a high quality teaching and learning environment. So we have 4 action items. 1.1 is PD. And also keep in mind, we try to be vague because as this is for next year and we can only spend money that we say is in our plan. So if it's not in there, we can't buy it. So, you know, we say things like, I might say AVID but I can say maybe things related to SPED, things related to EL, because we don't know what kind of trainings are going to be available, which ones we're going to be able to sign up for. So there's a variety there, conferences related to these items. Science, technology, social emotional. There's so many social emotional programs. There's there's Boys Town. So we just kind of give a general idea. So as you can see, that's where we're putting in a big chunk of our money is in our training and also materials that we need for those items. It could be physical materials, could be books, supplemental materials. We have then 1.2 instructional strategies. So things that are related to differentiating instruction, supplies that go into that. AVID's a good one. I think we're already signed up for that for this year. But again, this is for the next school year. Release time and PLCs. Collaboration time. We have 1.3 interventions. So that could look many different ways. We can have sub teachers there to release maybe our teachers to collaborate, department collaboration. So 20,000 for that category. We have technology. It could be anything from Chromebooks to maintaining online programs that we use, or tutoring. I say devices because we could even include, say, the projectors or things. What do we call the I can't think of the word. Thank you. And those were pretty awesome. Next goal is related to students, parents, families, and how we connect. Just like we are talking about in our presentation about connecting students to school engagement. We have again, more collaboration, MTSS, that encompasses a lot. We have our meetings and any materials related to that. We have drug awareness. That's one thing that's one of our goals. Awards, we'd like to award students and recognize their accomplishments. 2.2, improving attendance. That's a big, and also keep in mind, this is all based on data that we have been collecting. Part of that 60-page document is collecting all this data and what does the data tell us. So attendance, that's going to be a big focus. 2.3, increasing parent engagement. And we're seeing ELAC, that's one component, PTSO, and a lot of community partnerships. Again, they're being vague. Last goal, we only have 3, and it's a little redundant because it's a big priority, the PD, the training that's related to our big categories. And then science and technology, I know in the other ones, you mentioned specific ones, maybe Q, that's a big one, that's a good one, but again, I've run into the problem before in the past where we use up all the money in one category and there's something amazing and very beneficial. So then we have to go back to our team, the site council, and they have to approve, borrowing from another category. So we're trying to be vague, but still give some explanation as to what our focus and our goal is going to be. And then the last one is for EL students. And a lot of things that we do for ELs for interventions are good for all students. So we have an elective class and it's really related intervention programs. So that's our last goal. We just have 3.
Discussion? I'll just say thank you very much for your reports. And hearing no other discussion, call for question. All those in favor?
DeJillian, I.
Falls, aye.
Mesa,
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 10C, second read and adoption, where to start a survival guide to anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges. I'll move it in.
Thank you. As a second read, we brought this as a first read a few months back. This easy read survival guide, hardcover book for mental health, if adopted this evening, will be available at the front offices of our school campuses. Thank you, Ms. Carrie Wright, for bringing this to our attention. Some of the highlights include this, what to look for in terms of signs and symptoms of mental health and where to go looking for professional help and support. I guess that's where we need Elizabeth's QR code. So just saying. That's all I have.
Discussion?
Is this in our libraries or just the front office? Oh, okay.
I stand corrected. Wellness Center and libraries.
Hearing no other discussion, call for question. All those in favor?
DeJillian, I.
Falls, aye.
Mesa,
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 10D, first read, Hillbilly Elegy, a memoir of a family and culture in crisis.
Thank you. I'll defer to Dr. Chamberlain, Director of Ed Services.
Good evening, board, community, Dr. Hawkian. Carrie Owens is asking to add this as supplemental materials for her AP class for next year. It's a memoir. I haven't read it. I've heard fantastic things. I'm going to plan to try to steal it out of Dr. Hawkian's office and read it this weekend. I know others have read it besides Carrie, and I've heard nothing but really great things about it.
Thank you. Discussion?
That was my name until I was adopted.
I've seen the movie. It is a good story. Yeah.
I didn't know it was a movie. No other discussion. Moving on. 11A, LACO AB 1200 acknowledgement letter. Dr. Sahakian?
Thank you. On May 8th, our board president, Mr. Mascon, received the AB 1200 letter from LACO, LA County Office of Education, and they have reviewed and approved the tentative collective bargaining agreement between CSEA and our district, CSEA Chapter 473 to be exact. Mr. Nguyen?
Oh, thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Hawkian. Like what Dr. mentioned, this is a letter from LACO informing the board that negotiation settlement between the district and CSEA for 2% on schedule and 2.5% off schedule for the 24-25 school year.
Discussion? Okay, hearing none, moving on. Thank you. 11B, contract with, is it Eddie? Bailey CPAs and business advisors. I'll move it in.
I'll second.
Dr. Sakian?
Thank you. So prior to my arrival, this CPA business advisor has been a support to the Business Services Office as preparation for supplemental reports and materials such as charter reports as well as other time-sensitive reports. Mr. Nguyen, any other comments?
No, basically what Ed Bailey does is they'll compile and calculate the district in lieu and the 1% oversight fee for the charter schools.
Discussion? Hearing none, call for question. All in favor?
DeJulian, I.
Falls, aye.
Mesa.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 11C, approval of migrant service agreement. MOU, I'll move it in.
I'll second.
Thank you. The MEP Migrant Education Program is a federally funded program responding to the educational and health needs of migrant children, students. This MOU is a consortium of the Antelope Valley School District school districts, including, of course, ours, AADUSD, indicating that we will all comply with the parameters of Title I of this Title I mandate.
Thank you. Discussion? Hearing none, call for question. All those in favor?
DeJulian, I.
Falls, aye.
Mesa.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. 11D, Resolution 2024-25.16, declaring unusable, obsolete, or no longer needed equipment. I'll move it in.
Thank you. I'll defer to Mr. Nguyen.
Thank you, Dr. Salkin. These are legacy equipment that are Chromebooks, laptop, desktops, projectors that are old, they're end of life, so they're really no use for the district, for the students to use. So I'm asking the board to approve that.
Discussion? Call for question. All those in favor?
DeJulian, I.
Falls, aye.
Mesa.
Brianna Taxoni, aye. All right, board comments. Mr. Falsgraf.
Have nothing.
Holy moly. Mark this date on the calendar. Bill?
Can you loop?
So just wanted to say, I was at the Asmo concert. It was a great concert. Glad to see that it's still going to continue with our teacher, Miss Benatar, and the new, I guess, funded instruments that they've gotten, so that we can keep it in-house and keeping that going. Also the ribbon cutting at the Acton campus here, that was a fun day and good to see more classrooms opening. And Night of the Stars, it's great to see how many students we have at Vasquez that are stars. There we go.
All right. I was at the Little Owls ribbon cutting as well. That was really fun, seeing all the little kids running around this campus. And seeing teachers, families, dignitaries all come out and celebrate kids being on this campus. It always bums me out when I'm not able to make it to every event, and Night of the Stars is one of them that I'm really bummed that I had to miss, but huge congratulations to all of our students that were honored. And congratulations to our staff that gets them there as well. So it's a great event. The pictures that I saw posted on Facebook look absolutely beautiful. I know Shiloh has a big role in making that happen. So thank you to Shiloh and all of the staff at VHS that makes that happen and gets our kids to where they are. It's definitely shows in our graduation rate and how many kids are honored at Night of the Stars. So good job. And good job to the families for getting those kids there as well. That's not, I mean, some kids are super easy and they just do it. Some kids, wow, your parents and your families have really worked hard for that as well. So good job, everybody. I'm super excited for all of the end of the year activities, the senior walk at both campuses, everything to just celebrate our end of the year. Like I said last meeting, I will not be at the Vasquez graduation, unfortunately, because my child is also graduating high school on the same night at the same time, but I will be at Meadowlark and High Desert promotion. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I wanted to point out that we do have an ASVBA dinner coming up for our board members. Please come with me and hang out. It's really fun, I promise. So we do have that coming up on May 27th at 5:30. It's in Palmdale. The exact place is in your email. So let's go, come hang out. And that's all that I have. 13 calendar, we have our regular board meeting June 12th. And then we have our last meeting for the 24-25 school year on June 26th. So before we meet again, we'll be out on summer break. So, just thanks for a great year to all of our staff. Do you guys plan on being at those two meetings? Awesome. Future agenda items, quarterly strategic plan report and adjournment. It is 10:20. I move to adjourn.
A second.
All in favor?
The Jillian, I.
Paul's got 5.
Mays, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye.